October 3rd, 1955, 7:42 p.m. Rouse Restaurant, East Harlem. Bumpy Johnson was having dinner with Junie Bird. Business meeting. Quiet conversation. A corner table where they could talk without being overheard. That's when Tommy DeMarco walked in. 26 years old. Third-generation Italian mobster. Son of Angelo DeMarco, a mid-level captain in the Genovese family. Tommy had a reputation. Not for being smart. Not for being strategic. For being bold. Reckless. The kind of young mobster who thought respect came from volume. From showing everyone how tough you were. From never backing down even when you should. He saw Bumpy sitting there. Saw an opportunity to make a statement in front of his crew. To show the old generation that the new generation wasn't impressed. Wasn't afraid. Tommy walked over to Bumpy's table. Stood there. Waited until Bumpy looked up. Then, without saying a word, Tommy spit. Directly onto Bumpy's shoes. Polished black leather. Now marked with saliva. Tommy smiled. Looked at his crew standing by the door. They were laughing. Nervous laughter. The kind that says we can't believe he just did that. Tommy leaned down. Got close to Bumpy's face. Your time is over, old man. This city belongs to us now. Then he walked away. Laughing. His crew following. Still laughing. The restaurant went silent. Everyone had seen it. Everyone waited for Bumpy's response. The explosion. The violence. The immediate retaliation. But Bumpy didn't move. Didn't stand. Didn't react. He calmly pulled a handkerchief from his pocket. Bent down. Wiped the spit off his shoes. Folded the handkerchief. Put it back in his pocket. Looked at Junie Bird and said 4 words that would become legend. Write down his address. 3 days later, Tommy DeMarco received a package at his apartment. What was inside that box, what message it delivered without a single word of threat, made Tommy pack up his family that same night and leave New York permanently. Because Bumpy Johnson had just taught him something every young mobster eventually learns. Volume isn't power. Patience is. Tommy DeMarco grew up in a world where violence was immediate. You disrespect someone, they hit you. You challenge someone, they fight you. You cross someone, they come for you right away. That's what he expected when he spit on Bumpy's shoes. Expected Bumpy to stand up, to swing, to make a scene, to prove he wasn't old, wasn't finished, wasn't weak. When Bumpy did nothing, when he just calmly wiped his shoes and went back to eating, Tommy thought he'd won. Thought he'd proven his point. The old generation was soft, scared, past their prime. He told the story that night to everyone who'd listen. You should have seen his face. I spit right on his shoes, right in front of everyone. And he just sat there, wiped them off like nothing happened. The old man is finished. His crew agreed, laughed, celebrated. They didn't understand what Bumpy's silence actually meant. Junie Bird understood. As soon as they left Rouse, as soon as they got in the car, Junie asked the question, "Boss, why didn't you do anything?" Bumpy was quiet for a moment. Then, because violence in the moment would have been expected, predictable, everyone in that restaurant was waiting for me to react, to prove I'm not old, not finished. But the moment I do that, the moment I react the way Tommy wants me to react, I'm playing his game. And I don't play other people's games. So what are we going to do? We're going to teach him a lesson he'll never forget. But not tonight. Not tomorrow. We're going to wait. Let him think he won. Let him get comfortable. Let him tell everyone how he disrespected Bumpy Johnson and nothing happened. And then, when he's sleeping soundly, when he's forgotten to look over his shoulder, that's when we remind him who runs this city. Over the next 3 days, Bumpy had people watching Tommy. Not obviously, not threateningly, just watching, learning his routine, where he lived, 117 Mulberry Street, 3rd floor apartment, where he went, what he did, who he talked to. Tommy lived with his wife, Maria. They'd been married 2 years. No kids yet. Tommy worked out of a social club on Mott Street. Spent most evenings there, playing cards, drinking, talking big. Every night, he told the story about spitting on Bumpy's shoes. And every night, the story got bigger, more dramatic. In his version, Bumpy had looked scared, had trembled, had begged Tommy not to hurt him. None of that was true, but Tommy needed it to be true. Needed to believe he dominated Bumpy Johnson. On October 6th, 3 days after the incident, Bumpy called a specialist, a man named Vincent the Cleaner. Not called that because he cleaned up crime scenes. Called that because he was the best shoe cleaner in New York. Worked at a high-end shop on 5th Avenue. Could restore any leather to perfect condition. Bumpy brought in the handkerchief. the one he'd used to wipe the spit off his shoes. "Vincent, I need you to do something for me. This handkerchief has residue on it. From my shoes. I need you to take that residue and use it to identify the exact type of leather. Then I need you to find shoes that match. Same style, same size. And I need you to clean them, polish them, make them look brand new. Better than new." Vincent looked at the handkerchief. Looked at Bumpy. "Boss, I can do that." "But why?" "You'll see." Vincent worked for 2 days. Identified the leather. Found matching shoes. Size 10. Black Oxford. Common style. He cleaned them meticulously. Polished them until they gleamed. Buffed them until you could see your reflection. He put them in a nice box. Quality box. The kind expensive shoes come in. Added tissue paper. Made it look like a gift. On October 6th at 3 p.m., a courier delivered the box to 117 Mulberry Street, 3rd floor, Tommy DeMarco's apartment. The courier was instructed to hand it directly to Tommy. Make sure he signed for it. The courier knocked. Tommy answered. Saw the box. "Who's it from?" The courier checked his clipboard. "No name, sir. Just says it's for Tommy DeMarco." Tommy took the box. Signed. Closed the door. He wasn't suspicious. People sent packages. Could be anything. He set the box on the kitchen table. Called to his wife. "Maria, I got a package. Maybe it's from my father." He opened it carefully. Lifted the lid. Saw tissue paper. Pulled it aside. And there, perfectly arranged, were 2 shoes. Black Oxford. Polished to perfection. Gleaming. Tommy stared at them. Confused. Why would someone send him shoes? He picked one up. Examined it. That's when he saw the note. Small card. Tucked between the shoes. He opened it. Read 3 sentences written in elegant handwriting. "I cleaned them for you. Thought you might want them back. Respectfully, Bumpy Johnson." Tommy dropped the shoe. His hands started shaking. Maria came into the kitchen. "Tommy, what's wrong?" Tommy couldn't speak. Just stared at the shoes. Maria picked up the note. Read it. Still didn't understand. "I don't get it. Why did Bumpy Johnson send you shoes?" Then Tommy understood. And the understanding hit him like a freight train. These weren't just any shoes. These were the shoes. Or rather, shoes identical to the ones Bumpy had been wearing. The ones Tommy had spit on. Bumpy had replicated them, cleaned them, polished them, boxed them beautifully, and sent them to Tommy's home, to his 3rd-floor apartment. The apartment address Tommy had never given Bumpy, had never mentioned in public. The address that was supposed to be private. Safe. And Bumpy knew it. Not only knew it, had access to it, had been able to arrange a delivery, had been able to reach into Tommy's personal life whenever he wanted. The message wasn't about the shoes. The message was about the capability. "I know where you live. I know what floor you're on. I can send you anything I want. Anytime I want. And if I can send you shoes, I can send you anything else." Tommy sat down heavily. Felt sick. "Maria, we have to leave." "What? Why?" "Because I made a mistake. A big mistake. And now Bumpy Johnson knows where we live." "So what?" "He just sent shoes. It's not a threat." "Maria, you don't understand. The shoes are the threat. He's telling me he can get to me whenever he wants. He's telling me he's been watching. Knows our address. Knows our routine. And he's doing it politely. Respectfully. Which makes it more terrifying than any threat. When they threaten you, you can prepare. When they're polite, when they send you a gift, you never know when the real move is coming. We're leaving tonight." Maria tried to argue, but Tommy was already packing, throwing clothes in suitcases, calling his father. "Pop, we need to talk. It's urgent." Angelo DeMarco met Tommy at a cafe an hour later. Listened to the story. Looked at his son with disappointment. "You spit on Bumpy Johnson's shoes? In public? What were you thinking?" "I was showing him we're not afraid." "You were showing him you're an idiot." Bumpy Johnson doesn't need to be loud. Doesn't need to make scenes. He makes one move, one quiet move, and it's more effective than anything you've ever done. You think he sent you those shoes as a joke? He sent them as a warning. And you better listen. What do? You leave New York. Tonight. Take Maria. Go to Philadelphia. I have people there. Lay low. Don't come back until I tell you it's safe. But Pop, that makes me look weak. You already look weak. Leaving makes you look smart. Because if you stay, if you ignore this warning, Bumpy won't send shoes next time. He'll send something else. And you won't like it." That night, October 6th at 11 p.m., Tommy and Maria left New York. Drove to Philadelphia. Stayed with Angelo's associates. Tommy got a job working at a restaurant. Quiet work. No mob business. No showing off. No making statements. He never came back to New York. Not permanently. Years later, in 1964, Tommy was asked about Bumpy Johnson by a reporter writing about Harlem crime. The reporter had heard the story, wanted Tommy's side. "Tommy, is it true you spit on Bumpy Johnson's shoes in 1955? Tommy was quiet for a long time. Then he said something that captured the moment perfectly. "I was 26 years old. Thought respect came from being loud, being bold, being fearless. So I disrespected him in public. Expected him to react like every other mobster I knew. With violence, with anger, with immediate retaliation. Instead, he did nothing. Just wiped his shoes and went back to dinner. I thought I'd won. Thought I'd proven he was old. Finished. Weak. 3 days later, I got a package. 2 shoes. Identical to the ones I'd spit on. Cleaned. Polished. Perfect. With a note. I cleaned them for you. Respectfully, Bumpy Johnson." And that's when I understood. He knew where I lived. He'd been watching me. He could have sent anything. Could have done anything. But he sent shoes. With respect. With politeness. And that was more terrifying than any threat. Because it showed he didn't need to be loud. Didn't need to be violent. Didn't need to prove anything. He had all the power and knew it. I left New York that night. Never went back. Best decision I ever made. The story became legend in New York's underworld. Not the spitting part. The shoes part. Young mobsters heard it and learned a lesson. Don't confuse silence for weakness. Don't mistake patience for fear. And never, ever disrespect Bumpy Johnson. Because he won't react the way you expect. Won't give you the satisfaction of a fight. He'll wait. Watch. Learn everything about you. And then he'll send you a message so polite, so respectful, so perfectly crafted that you'll understand exactly how much danger you're in. Junie Bird asked Bumpy weeks later why he'd chosen shoes. Why not something more direct? More threatening? Because Tommy needed to learn that power doesn't announce itself. Doesn't make noise. Doesn't need validation. Real power is quiet. Confident. Patient. I could have sent a dozen other messages. Could have had him hurt. Could have destroyed his reputation. But that would have been expected. Predictable. The shoes were unexpected. Made him think. Made him realize that the old man he'd disrespected wasn't old. Wasn't finished. Wasn't weak. Was just operating on a level Tommy didn't understand yet. The shoes stayed in Tommy's possession for years. He kept them in the box. In his closet. Never wore them. Never threw them out. Just kept them as a reminder. When his son turned 18, Tommy showed him the shoes. Told him the story. Told him what he'd learned. This is what arrogance costs you. This is what happens when you underestimate people. This is why respect isn't about volume. It's about intelligence. About patience. About understanding that the quietest person in the room might be the most dangerous. Bumpy Johnson taught me that. And these shoes remind me every single day. If this story showed you that patience is more powerful than reaction, hit subscribe. Drop a like if you understand that silence can be more intimidating than threats. Comment below what you would have done if you received those shoes. More stories of delayed consequence coming next.